Most people think all us bison do is wander about chomping on grass all day. We hear good things about Dr. Denney and all he does for the animal communities on the island. Can't wait to hear the story. Keep up the good work, old friend.
I wanted to give you a little history of my early life. I was born in Paris, Texas, small town in northeast Texas, north of Dallas, south of the Red River. Little town that had about 10,000 people in it when I was growing up. My dad was part of the Army Air Corps in World War II and part of the early Korean conflict as well. And after he came back stateside for a bit of time, he and my mom got married in 1946. I was born in 1951. My mom always had a little comedic relief. I was born March the 28th, 1951. My dad and mom got married March the 22nd, but she always said when she was giving a little history, yeah, his dad and I got married March the 22nd, and Richard was born March the 28th. And she'd say 5 years earlier. So she'd always throw that in just to get people to gasp a little bit. She was a little comedian herself. So I grew up with a father that was a professional photographer. He bought out the photographic studio that he had. It was called Evan Studio at the time. Then he moved it later on called Denney Studio. My dad was also a farm and rancher. He grew up as a farmer in his early life. So from the time I can remember, when I was just a little kid, he was dragging me out to the farm every day. About 3 o'clock, he and I would run out to the farm and feed the cows. If it was in the winter, break ice on the pond so the cattle could drink. So forth. And then I got I was in East Paris Elementary from first grade to the fifth grade, and from the sixth grade actually. And then from the seventh grade to the ninth grade, I was in Crockett Junior High School. It was the first junior high school that Paris, Texas ever had. And I was the first one in the first class from the seventh grade through the ninth grade. So I was kind of a historian for the Crockett Volunteers, as they call themselves. And then from 10th grade through the 12th grade, I was in Paris High School and graduated from there. Entered into Texas A&M. At the time, I was 17 years old, and then started applying to vet school. But to kind of give you a little history behind that, in high school, I was part of the FFA. And I was the president of that group for about 3 years. And I got a lot of education in just being farming in the farming community. So I graduated from Paris High School in 1969, entered into Texas A&M at the same time. And from there, I got into vet school 3 years later in 1972, graduated in 1975. The time that we were going through vet school at that point in time was a 3-year program instead of a 4-year program. So we had to go through trimester programs. We were taking about 21 to 23 hours a trimester. So it really was beating us up, and every class had a lab that went along with it. So we had the pleasure of taking our quizzes at 5 in the morning, so we didn't miss any class time. So we had to be bright and bushy-tailed at 5 in the morning and take all of our quizzes. And the old Army was back in Texas A&M at that time, so all those professors didn't have any trouble getting up at 5 and giving us grief because we might be 2 minutes late getting in to take our quiz. It was a lot of fun. We gathered a lot of camaraderie between the students. So I got out of vet school in 1975. I was 23 years old and ready to hit the road and start my career. And I worked for a clinic in Texas City, Texas for 1 year. Worked for Austin Scott Veterinary Clinic, Bruce Austin and John Scott. And they turned me loose on doing all their surgeries and all their night calls. And it was quite a challenge for a young kid. I remember the first day I was on duty, it was John Scott and I his partner had taken time off, which he hadn't been able to do for quite a long time. And my first experience as being a veterinarian was Labor Day of 1975. We started at 7 in the morning. We got through that night at midnight. And I had seen 70 people by myself that first day. And I thought, I don't know if I want to be a veterinarian or not. But we got through it. And it was a lot of fun, but it was really eye-opening as to you had to be quick on your feet, think clearly, put into practice what you learned, be able to communicate with your clients, assess your patients correctly, treat them properly, get them out the door with any kind of treatment for home care, and hope that everything worked out. Most of the time it did. So I was seeing cattle, I was seeing horses, I was seeing exotic animals, I was seeing dogs and cats, and the clinic was a 7-day-a-week clinic. So I guess who was on the night and weekend duty? It was me. So I learned a lot in that first year, some out of necessity and some out of just putting the knowledge I already had into practice. I was asked to start running the first animal emergency clinic in the state of Texas. We would see clients 7 days a week. We saw them from 8 in the morning on the weekends till 8 in the morning on Mondays. And then the clinic was set up to be a corporate entity where there was 30 different clinics that actually set it up. So we were supposed to see emergencies for those 30 clinics each night starting around 6 p.m. till 8 a.m. the next morning. But as you know, things are in life, people that didn't have a veterinarian knew that there was an emergency clinic, so we started seeing emergencies for 3 million people. And that was one of the largest areas in the United States. So we called it the Believe It or Not Clinic because we saw a Duke's mixture of just about anything that you could imagine as far as an emergency for animals. So that was a lot of fun, and I was part of that clinic from 1976. They actually started another clinic. It was called Tri-County Emergency Clinic, and I was actually part of that clinic till about 1985. So I was lucky enough to do daytime work and nighttime work during those years. So I was seeing large animals, small animals, emergency clinic medicine, which made me a decent veterinarian because I was seeing such a broad discipline of medicine during those days. And then we formed my own clinic in Dickinson, Texas in 1978. It was seeing people about the same number of people in an area that was a tri-county area, but not up in the Houston area. So we were seeing a large number of horses and cattle and small animals and exotics. I had a fairly big avian practice as well. So I was a busy young veterinarian at those days. In Texas, when I was a veterinarian, I was fortunate enough when I was in veterinary school. I never went home for hardly ever for breaks. So when the kids were all gone for breaks, I volunteered my time with the professors because they couldn't go home. They lived in the area, and they'd always let me help them with whatever surgeries they were doing or internal medicine cases they were doing. So I got to have a lot of hands-on with a lot of different types of animals, whether it was farm animals or equine or exotics. They had a pretty good exotics group there as well at A&M where I went to school. And the guys, their professors were always willing to, when they had a student that was willing to learn, they really were gracious enough to let us get our hands dirty and really step in and do some of the procedures that otherwise you would probably have never gotten to do. So getting out of school, I had a lot of experience with avian medicine, even marine life medicine, equine medicine, bovine medicine, small ruminant medicine, dog and cat medicine. So I had a pretty good broad spectrum of disciplines of veterinary medicine at that point. And in Texas, I had a general practice where I saw a lot of different types of animals at that point. So coming to Catalina, I fit right in because they had the fox program going at that time and the bald eagle program going. the bison program, and they had at the point in time they had a big stable on the island with about nearly 100 head of horses, and then I had the middle ranch horses and the Escondido horses for the Wrigley, so I was able to take care of all those needs because of my background. I had a kind of a multidiscipline of medicine that street smarts, if you will, just because I'd had my hands into so many different types of medical procedures, and learned a lot of disciplines of veterinary medicine just because of the animals that I had to see. So moving out here, I was able to really provide a better service than a lot of veterinarians could, not patting myself on the back, but most veterinarians are pretty well geared into either seeing dogs or cats or having exotic medicine clinics or equine only or farm animal only or whatever, and they don't like to cross lines. But fortunately, I had a lot of experience to where I could come into this island paradise and really help people out. So the first few years, we were helping the marine life, the wildlife, the feral cat program. By the way, I've spayed and neutered over 8,000 cats for the island since I've been here. And just a mixture of the dogs and cats, people started feeling more comfortable having a pet because they had a full-time veterinarian here. A lot of times prior to me coming here, they had to get their animal on the express boat, pay the fee to get across, and then if they had a really sick animal, they'd have to get a room or a place at a hotel or a motel and maybe spend a day or two and then pay the fees to the veterinarian over town. So it was very costly for them to have an emergency and have to leave the island and leave their work and not get paid while they were gone. So, having an animal like that, it could be a real hardship. So me moving to the island, people felt comfortable having a pet. So our pet population flourished after I came here. And we've got quite an array of patients that come in to see me now. We started visiting Catalina Island back in the late 80s. A friend of ours that moved from Texas to Orange County, I invited my wife out to visit her, and she brought her to the island. And from there, we started visiting the island once a year in the latter part of June, and we'd always stay at the inn at Mount Ada. And I saw that there was a need for veterinarians here on the island, so I started actually volunteering my time when I was here on short vacation stints. I'd come down to the Catalina Island Humane Society and help them with whatever type of needs they had, whether it was a sick animal or spaying and neutering the feral cats or seeing some type of problem that they were having. And one year they had an abundance of rabbits that had started overtaking Kite Hill, so they brought the rabbits into me and I spayed and neutered those for them. But long and short, my wife and I loved the island, and I started actually flying from Texas to Catalina back in 2000. I would fly and spend a week here on Catalina, and I would see the local populations, dog and cat population at that time. I would see them for whatever needs that they had, and I would come out each month and service the island needs. And after I had done that for a few years, Annie and I, my wife, decided that we might like to try to make a move to Catalina. So we started talking to the Humane Society and the Conservancy and the Island Company, and even talked to the local people about what they would think of having a veterinarian here. Some of the city council members we also talked with as well. After talking with these different entities, my wife and I decided we would move here. So I had to study for the state boards for California and pass those boards, and then become a licensed veterinarian in California as well as Texas. We started working in the Humane Society MASH unit clinic next to the clinic that we're in now. It was 280 square feet, and I had to make do for reception areas, storage supply areas, kennel area, surgery area, exam room area, all in one 3-room little compartment that we started off in. Of course, that didn't satisfy the Veterinary Medical Board of California. Their Practice Act designed clinics to have at least 7 rooms dedicated for each specialty that we have to provide services for in a veterinary clinic. So after we found that out, then the Veterinary Medical Board was gracious enough to give me some time to petition the local entities here. We talked with the Conservancy, we talked with the Island Company, the City Council. We designed a committee that would help me try to formulate a plan, because we didn't have a site to put a clinic on. We had to procure finding a piece of property. The Island Company was gracious enough to actually say we could have the site that we're on now. There was an old dilapidated clean ears that had been on the island for years that sat empty, but we had to hazmat that out. And one of our local companies, Jordahl Construction with Jim Hoffman, he was kind enough to come help me demo the building out. And what we did is we had a company in Paris, California, American Home Builders, that actually built this little clinic green. They built it in 3 sections, and it was barged over back in 2009. We actually had that a little parade of the clinic coming through town on some roll-off equipment. We brought it down, and they had to use crawlers to put it into place on the little spot that we've got here. They put it in 3 pieces and put it all together, and now we have the building that we have now. There was a group of people that was very instrumental in helping us at that point in time. Leslie Bayer and Mel Dinkle and Carlos De La Rosa and some of the people that work for the Conservancy. They got their heads together and got a building fund committee together so we could get enough equipment in here for me to get started and provide the services that I need, and then be compliant with the Veterinary Medical Board itself. All that took about 2 years to get it in place, from the time we started till the time we opened the doors. And we had quite a little showing for the community. It was actually on a Easter Sunday morning that we opened the doors and let people come through and see what kind of facility that we had for the community to allow me to practice here. It's been a good run. We started practicing in this little building in 2010. I moved here in 2005, so there was a 5-year time period between the time that we practiced until the time we got the building up and running and facility up and running and all the things that we needed to do a good brand of medicine for the community. So that's kind of the story of how we got started, and now I've been practicing here full-time from 2004. I was actually 2003 till now, 2025. But it's coming on a monthly basis from 2000 on. So I've been here 25 years now, and it's been a pleasure for me to be able to provide the veterinary services that the community needed. It's been a joy for me, and our family is thankful for the community and the backing that we've had and the support that we've had. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this community.
Hi, I'm Elsie. Let's be clear, I'm Dr. Denney's favorite cat. He likes me best. I run the clinic when I'm there, and everyone knows it. Thanks for being a good human.
My name is Diane Stone. I've been part of the Humane Society in Catalina for about 30 years. A number of years ago, we did not have an active veterinarian on the island. And Dr. Denney and Annie were staying up at the Inn on Mount Ada. And at some point, maybe Susie and Marlene said, you know, if there's an emergency, we do have a veterinarian here visiting with us, and he would be available. So, of course, there were emergencies, and Dr. Denney was called, and he graciously came down to our little clinic and dealt with the animals that needed help. They then returned the following summer, and he actually began coming down on a regular basis, and he began working out of our little 300 square foot clinic. At that point, knowing that there was a dedicated, very competent, empathetic, amazing doctor on the island, the animal population began to grow, and especially the dog population, knowing that there was a vet here and people were not going to have to take their animals over town, which was traumatic and expensive to do. When Dr. Denney, at the time that he came here working out of the small clinic, we had acquired what I call the trailer, this modular unit. And so within that unit, we were able to house cats and kittens that we were trying to find homes for. And so he worked out of the clinic, and he also was very amenable to doing spay and neuters for our feral cats and our homeless cat population. So he worked hand in hand. We couldn't have done what we do without him. And so it was a symbiotic relationship. We were amazed to discover this extraordinary scope of Dr. D's expertise. He had worked on giraffes, all kinds of exotic animals. So coming to Catalina, we didn't have those kind of animals, but we certainly had a variety. When I would find a little pigeon with fishing line wrapped around his feet, I would grab the bird, walk to the clinic. Dr. D would take the fishing line, remove it, give the bird a shot. I'd take it back, put it out there. I had a little cat that, as a little kitten, he had helped me keep this little kitten alive. It was a challenge, and grew into be a very special cat, but it had eaten something toxic. We think the palm tree seeds or something. And he was in terrible shape. And Dr. D not only treated that little kitten, but, well, a cat at that point, brought it home, kept it at his bedside through the night to make sure that he was there if that cat needed help through the night. Not unheard of for him to bring an animal home and treat it as one of his own. And he had to put up with that. She's quite amazing. But for Annie, she's living with a rock star. And he is treated like that by this community. This community loves and adores him. And she has to tolerate all of that, because she's the one who will get the phone calls and intercede and you know, when he's needed, whether it's during a meal or in the middle of the night, he goes and she has to worry about him. He is an amazing diagnostician. He's an amazing pathologist. He's an amazing surgeon. But he has to do it all. He has to be a therapist, and he has to be a grief counselor. And that's the tough part.
I'm John Council. I'm the curator of the Avalon Diving History Exhibit, but also I'm the lead field agent for Marine Mammal Care Center and our operation on Catalina Island. So Dr. Denney and geez, Annie, I mean, aren't they a power couple in Avalon? Unbelievable. You know, this island needed a quality vet, and Dr. Denney answered the call. Incredible guy. He and Annie have come in and really become part of an integral part of the community. But super people. And I met him, of course, because I was a pet owner, had my own dog and cats, and took them in for care, and became friends with Richard. And interestingly enough, back in 2012, we were contacted by the Marine Animal Rescue Program, a LA County-based operation that was at that time probably about 35 years old, and dealing primarily with marine mammals, whales, dolphins, seals, and sea lions. And they were getting a lot of calls emanating from Catalina Island, and they wanted to set up a team on Catalina Island. And so there was myself and Dr. Denney and several different volunteers that had sort of answered that call and showed up for a meeting with the operator of Marine Animal Rescue at the time, Peter Wallerstein. And he said, you know, this is what they were looking for some volunteers that could maybe handle some of the load from the island. And it sounded pretty good. It sounded enticing. It sounded like it would be fun to do. It also sounded like it was going to be a very minimal amount of work. And maybe you'd get a call, you know, once a month or something like that. And I couldn't have been more wrong. As it turned out, one of the volunteers, Dar Horn, and I kind of took over some of the initial roles in 2012 and 2013. And we did our first call, you know, out on Pebbly Beach, and neither one of us had really much training, a little bit of training, but nothing on real animals. And it was quite interesting. And our initial venture was a young sea lion that was beached and looked like it might have been in some kind of compromised state. And we went out, and believe it or not, this animal was laying right next to a Hobie cat that was beached up on Pebbly Beach, and it was just asleep. And so we got out our kennel container and sort of staged it next to it, and then woke the animal up with a towel waving in front of it. And within 3 seconds, it ran right into the kennel. And we just closed the door, and we looked at each other and go, geez, that's easy. So little did we know there was much more to come. Like I said, on the mainland, it was just a focus on marine mammals. But because we were the guys in town that had nets and had the means to capture animals, we started getting calls for pelicans and gulls and cormorants, and pretty soon it was deer and fox, and we'd have to start working with the Conservancy. They'd have field agents that were out at Middle Ranch, and they'd call us and say, we just got a call for a fox that's over on Sumner Street underneath the golf cart. And so we would go deal with that, and pretty soon, you know, every kind of animal, if it had a pulse, we were getting a call for it. And so that's how it works here on the island. We deal with everything from hummingbirds to bison sometimes, so it's kind of crazy, but it's been a good program, and here we are in 2025, and it's still going strong. And so the question comes up to me oftentimes, like, you know, what have you extracted from Dr. Denney? What have you learned from his mentoring or whatever? And I tell you, it's amazing. I've seen this guy work miracles with animals so many different times, and to be witness to it, you realize that even animals that look like there's just maybe no possible hope, in actuality, oftentimes there is. And that's really, really encouraging. It's inspirational. The guy is a wizard at that kind of stuff. But one story, I remember I got a call from the harbor department that there was a report of a cormorant that had been injured out on the mole pier. And I went out, and this thing was laying on its side, couldn't stand. It had been sort of degloved from the hip down with a fishing hook and had peeled its skin back, and all of this tissue was exposed, and it was actually kind of drying out. And I thought, oh, this musculature is all, you know, rotten and dying, and there's no way that this animal can survive this. But I wrapped it up and I brought it into Richard, and he looked at it, and he just took like 5-second looks at it, and he goes, oh, I don't know, there might be something. And so, believe it or not, this guy, this still to this day amazes me. He took normal table sugar and he sprayed down the leg with water and maybe a saline solution, and he sprinkled table sugar on this leg, and it pulled up fluids from the tissue, and then he went with tweezers and he just plucked out any compromised tissue and cleaned it all up, irrigated it with water again, and then brought up the skin and then stitched it all up. And he said, let's just leave this thing for half an hour here and see how it does. Half hour later, the thing was up walking around inside of a kennel carrier. And he says, yeah, he's probably ready to let go. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And I took it over to near the mole by the boat ramp, and I brought it out of the cage, and that thing literally hopped, jumped, and ran, and jumped into the water, dove, and popped up about 30 yards away, and then was swimming. And I went, you know, literally just an hour ago, this animal was on death's doorstep, and yet here it is back swimming, and the salt water was the best treatment for healing its wounds. And I just went, this is incredible. And that's always stuck with me. The guy's a miracle worker, and it's fun to watch.
Hello, everyone. We sea lions are often left out of the conversation when it comes to matters of our health care. I'd just like to say, Dr. Denney has been a stand-up guy when my family members find themselves on the beach and feeling under the weather. We appreciate all your efforts on behalf of the pinniped community. Thanks, Doc. You're the best.
Dr. Denney is really the only veterinarian I have known since I've been on the island. So I'm not exactly sure how long he's been here, but when I came back from living in Long Beach with this little Chihuahua dog named Security, as Security aged, then they had visits to Dr. Denney. And of course, Chihuahuas have terrible teeth. And so I think we started with teeth cleaning and that kind of thing. And then it got, as he got older, then it was all kinds of problems. So Dr. Denney was there. Fortunately, I didn't ever call him in the middle of the night. So, but as the dog got older and had problems with peeing on the floor and all of that kind of stuff, he gave whatever medicine was necessary at the time. And then finally one day I take him in and he says, "It's time." And I said, okay. The dog was 19 and a half years old. So it lasted a long time, thanks to Dr. Denney and Annie, of course. And then, of course, he put Security to sleep, gave him to us, and then we buried him up at the pet cemetery. And of course, he's the only vet I would ever know that would send you a sympathy card for the loss of your pet. So he has been a godsend to us, and I know to many others. I mean, he has taken care of so many animals in the land, in the air, and in the sea. I wish I could have been in his office when I heard one time he had a little seal pup there, or I'm sure he's taken birds in and probably foxes. And I know he's doctored horses as well. So he's an all-around wonderful vet. And the town, I don't know what we would have done without him here. I know Dr. Denney as being a great partner with the Humane Society. Thank goodness he was here. With all the feral cat issues we have had in the past, with his assistance, we have gotten that down, I think, to more of a manageable population. His relationship with John Council and the Marine Animal Rescue, I know has been very critical and had been John's right-hand man or vet when animals need to be taken care of. I'm sure there are many stories that I hope will come out in this video, because there are people that have worked with him much, much, much more closer than I. And I really look forward to seeing the story about Dr. Denney and his wonderful wife, Annie.
Yeah, going from a small cubicle, practicing in what was the Humane Society MASH unit clinic. It was just a little unit of that would service the minor needs for a Humane Society, to me practicing medicine there, but coming into a full-fledged clinic with all the Practice Act qualifications was just marvelous, because you can't imagine having a full-fledged clinic with all the proper rooms and designations that we could actually be compliant. That was the big problem, is being compliant with the State Board of Veterinary Medicine. Because if you're not compliant with them, then you're actually breaking the rules of practicing veterinarian. So we had to be very careful with that as well. They were, like I said, the Veterinary Medical Board was very gracious to give me time to pull everything together, because they knew Catalina was a special circumstance that not just any veterinarian would be willing to pack up, move over, take a risk of trying to set up a practice and go forward from that aspect of it. But this building has really just been a real blessing. We designed the building, actually, is where I'm sitting, to be like a wagon wheel. This area that we're in now is our pharmacy and our laboratory, and we do some minor treatments on this table and these lights that are showing up here. And then from there, the spokes of the wagon wheel goes out to the reception and the waiting area, and then to each exam room, and then to my office and the isolation room and surgery rooms to behind me, and a small kennel off to the back as well. So we don't have to walk more than about 8 feet to be into any room from the central area. So we designed it to be efficient and to save time and energy for the many, many steps that we have to make through the day here at the clinic. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about just the everyday life of a veterinarian, especially here in Catalina. Being a single practitioner, you have to be able to think on your feet pretty quickly a lot of times. And we're seeing a variety of disciplines of medicine coming in the door. All of our patients that come in, we treat like family. We try to always make our clients feel at ease and our patients feel at ease, and that makes diagnostics and examinations a lot easier as well. Our girls in the front, in the off-front office, the receptionist area, they're all pet owners. They love their pets like their own children. And that's one thing that is people come in the door, they're bringing in animals that are their family. So we appreciate them having the forethought to allow us to treat their pets and treat them just like they're another family member, if you will. That's their four-leg family, as we call them. So the girls in the front will process a person in. They'll find out what's the major complaint for the animal. They'll get the data from the client. If they've never been in before, if they have been in, then they pull their files and bring them to me, and they enter them into the computer up front so that later I can get all their data into the charting in the computer. Allow us to find out a little history on the animal, which makes it easier for us to treat that animal. If we have things that we need to know all of those different aspects of what's going on. You'll all be there, aren't you? Once you are, you're not looking too good. You can kind of head tilt too.
Mm-hmm.
You want to scan him and see if you can find a... I don't feel any fractures anywhere. His pelvic girdle is pretty well intact, and both of his hip joints are good, and his femurs and his tibias and everything are okay as well on both rear legs. He was in pretty good shape until this whatever got him here.
Yeah.
This looks like probably a back wound. And it's infected because all this tissue down here is swollen up.
Yeah.
All the way down onto the tail set as well. It's probably about 2.8 kilograms.
Okay.
That's a good boy.
My name is Katie Elder. I am the Wildlife Conservation Manager for the Catalina Island Conservancy, and I've been here for just over a year and a half. When I was first hired on by the Conservancy, I was hired on as the fox biologist, and so immediately one of the first people I needed to meet when I got on the island was Dr. Denney, because he is an absolutely critical component to our fox program here. The first day that I met him, I came in and he was just so welcoming, and his passion was just immediately evident. He just is so passionate about the animals on this island, both the wild and the domestic, and his commitment to helping with our foxes. One of the first things I wanted to do was to sit down with him and kind of understand and learn how the relationship worked between us and him, because, you know, we can get injured foxes any time of day. And so I came to him and I was like, all right, worst case scenario, there's a fox that is in horrible condition. It's 2 a.m. Do we get to call you? Or we want to have some boundaries. And he says, nope, you call me. There are no boundaries when it comes to injured animals. He's just always there and just always so eager and willing to help. He's an incredible human.
Have you made that 2 a.m. phone call?
Luckily not yet, and knock on wood, I hope we don't have to, but no, not yet. Dr. Denney has been a huge part of a ton of wildlife work that's been done at the Conservancy since at least 2005. He's helped out with many of our projects, including feral cats, bison, bald eagles, but the most prominent one that he's been a part of and continues to this day is our Island Fox program. He was there at the beginning helping Dr. Winston Vickers with the foxes when they were really in critical condition, and he's seen the program through to today where the population is really healthy and thriving. And he's been just an absolute asset to our fox program throughout, gosh, that's 20 years that I'm aware of that he's been supporting this program and just being the biggest advocate for the foxes and doing everything he physically can to help protect them. And so our program today, if it wasn't for his help, his generosity in helping us with all of our medical equipment that we need for our fox trapping and monitoring program, as well as providing the support and actually caring for our injured foxes and helping our foxes who are injured or old to a point where they're not going to make it, helping them peacefully pass on to over the Rainbow Bridge. He's just been our constant partner, and we're so grateful for Dr. Denney.
It's tough out here in the wild. Sometimes we find ourselves sick or injured. It's comforting to know we have Dr. Denney out there to help us out when we need it. Thanks for being there.
Oh, wow. Anita, you did it! You did it!
He's going to smash the lure and get a big food reward like Leo and I talked about. We are so excited and very proud that we were asked to talk a little bit about Dr. Denney and his importance as part of our team with Catalina Falconry. He was here when we started Catalina Falconry and has been an integral part of us in supporting us from the very beginning. We can't tell you how much we love and appreciate you, and it never ceases to amaze me how you are there for everybody when they need you. To this community, I can't speak enough about how much we love and respect and appreciate you.
I'd like to check in on behalf of the raptor community and congratulate Dr. Denney on his years of fine work with my feathered friends. Thanks for all your help in getting us back up and flying. Don't forget to look up.
It's been a real pleasure and joy to be here on the island. I think the 4 preps summed it up when they said 26 miles out in the sea, Santa Catalina was calling to me, and it was. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to be your veterinarian, your friend, and part of your family over this last 25 years, and I hope that that same feeling will go forward. My wife Annie has been such a support. She's been in the business about as long as I have, and she's helped model this clinic into an area of expertise that the clinic has been able to provide some great medicine and friendship and family atmosphere for people here on the island. And we really appreciate everyone that's been our clients, our friends, part of our family, and blessings to all of you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Luna. You've probably seen me around town. I'm a patient of Dr. Denney's. Dr. D is one of my favorite humans, and he takes care of me when I'm sick. It's nice to know he's around when I need him. Thanks for all you do.
As a fox, I'm constantly amazed by the talent and skill of Dr. Denney. He's one of the best. Kudos on being chosen to be recognized for all your success and your dedication to the animal community here on the island. Well deserved.
Hey guys, Young Buck here. I'm taking a break from my daily routine. I just want to give you the deer perspective on Dr. Denney. He's one of the best. Nothing but good things said about him out here in the wild. You're one of the good guys. Keep up the excellent work you do.